Another question I've been asked you is, how does GreenLake, Alletra MP again, address the need for scalability in today's rapidly growing data environment?
One, I would say, of the key parts of GreenLake for Block, Alletra MP, is that we've designed it to be a very, very scalable hardware platform. You have the switchless models, which fit a lot of use cases where, that's 2 nodes, and then that can obviously attach your JBOFs as normal. But we also have switch models, and those switch models will start at 2, 3, 4 nodes. But the plan is to let those go up to like 16, 32 nodes of compute. So you can really get a lot of performance out of those. At that point, it basically becomes software-defined storage.
Sure.
So even now at R4, we support 4 nodes with 8 nodes around the corner and a large number of disk shelves. So really, the limitation is port count at that point. We can really, really scale higher. Now, if you look at our previous generations of products, we've had 4 nodes on the 9K. We've had 4 nodes on Primera. We did have 8 nodes on 3PAR in case somebody decides to sort of write in and go, 3PAR did 8 nodes. 3PAR did 4, and then it briefly went to 8, and then it went back down to 4 because the number of customers we had on 8, I could do on like 2 hands. So, but those use cases do still appear. So the ability to still scale up to those number of nodes, if the customer wants to, is very, very compelling, because as well as I do, it's not always about what the customer will do.
Yeah.
It's about what they know they can do if they wanted to. Yeah. Otherwise, all cars will be limited to 70 miles an hour. And so that's where I see it. The scalability piece is the hardware's architecture has been designed to have that large levels of scalability in there. And also it means if ever we need to amend the code to go even bigger, we can do, because we can just roll out those updates as part of that.
I think you've actually pretty much answered the next question in that statement. But what kind of flexibility does GreenLake for block storage, again, Alletra MP, offer in terms of deployment options and integration with existing IT infrastructure?
Now, I would love to put a lovely, fluffy answer around this, but let's be real, it's block storage.
Yeah.
Block storage, by its whole design, is supposed to go in unnoticed and do a job and let a workload be the star of the show. So it will connect into the majority of workloads that you want, because that you can either present the volumes as you normally would. We have the ability to hook into a number of R services that sit inside the GreenLake platform. But yeah, block storage for a very long time has been a very quick deployment, very simple to deploy. The resellers can decide to deploy it themselves, obviously charge for the services, make the money on that. They can use us, they can use your own services as well at Ingram. I'd love to say it's the next generation and wave of simplicity and manageability.
Yeah.
But we're at that point now where you have to go beyond storage and do more than that. Block storage has always been the one of the bread and butter pieces. You just want it to be able to go in smoothly and get on with your job. And especially with resellers, they want it to work. They want it to be easy to install, so their technicians can do the work and install it and connect into the whole solution that they're selling, and then add that value. So yeah, it's designed to be really, really simple.
You mentioned deployments. Where would a partner go to? What courses do HPE offer, or in terms of educating the partners, supporting them in being able to deploy these?
Okay, so let's start from day zero. New part. You and I start a reseller business.
Yeah.
Michael and Nigel, IT services. So we're not accredited with HPE. Obviously, we go to Ingram because they do the best distribution ever. But so at that point, we want to start installing the systems ourselves. If we want to do learning, there's the ATS classes, which are the free classes that do admin and config. We also have the HPE Education, which enables us to do offer out those courses as necessary. I think we do a 2-day course on there we can look into, or that they can take as part of their accreditation, coming up to like a silver partner and such. But what I would tend to say from my channel days is that we shadowed the likes of ourselves doing it, or Ingram offering those services out. So, lean to distribution and us to do the first couple of installs, maybe shadow those,
Sure.
Get your accreditations up to the right partner level, so that you can either do those ones yourself, and then go to HPE Education for the accreditations. It changes per system, and depending on the environment. So, for example, if it was Scalability or if it was GreenLake for File. But normally we want to work with the resellers to be able to empower them to do that. The last thing we want is them thinking we're stopping them doing the installs. We're not competing with them. We want them to be an extension of us.
Sure. I've been asked you whether you could possibly give me the install base for those 15,000 feet.
Do you know what? The number of times I've been asked that question, it's like, the funny thing is, it was always the case of, like, it'll be, why have you got our install base? But then also be, can you give me everyone else's install base as well? He was, I'm trying to make sure I don't get in trouble here.
I'm not out to get you, by any means.
We'll have a coffee later, Michael.
Can you explain the cost model of GreenLake for block storage and how it can provide economic advantages over traditional storage solutions?
So, are you talking about GreenLake Flex? Because we're talking about this could be another old GreenLake meaning 3 million.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
I think what they're referring to, is it's typically the GreenLake costing model, right? So
there's two ways you can effectively obtain one of these boxes. You can do it on CapEx, or I suppose you could prefix that with CapEx through a lease like yourself. So that's the third option. And then the GreenLake Flex contract. Now, what I always say to resellers is that do not compare the two. It's like going to say, right, I'm going to hire purchase a car and then I'm also going to PCP it. Why is the hire purchase so much more expensive?
Yeah.
Or you'll go, right, I want to buy a car, but I'm comparing the price of that with the car where it gets delivered to my house. It gets tyres whenever it needs it. Has a service plan included. It has all the services included. And after 3 years, you come along and give me another car. And I go, why is this one more expensive? Can I just give me quotes for both, please?
Yeah.
And then they go, oh, well, that one's cheaper. I'll have that. The Flex contract, so GreenLake Flex, for me, for your resellers, is a service-led sale. It is de-risking. It is where we are wrapping everything up so the customer does not have to worry about it. Every month, there'll be a conversation with an assigned account manager that we go, look, this is how much you're using. You're paying per terabyte or per unit of measure. So you'll hear the term unit of measure. Yeah. And we have one of those graphs that every vendor has that says, look, just does this. But in reality, that's works great for MSPs. This is I want to pay for what I am using and nothing else. And then I pay a metric rate according to that. But what is in there is effectively the service management, the fact that we're rocking up on site, we're setting it up. If we decide, look, you actually need more capacity, and they agree, more capacity arrives. You have a buffer built in there that you're not paying for, usually about 20%, but it is customizable. That is a more bespoke contract. On the CapEx side, there's a subscription license in there, but let's be honest, that is pretty much what a lot of vendors are doing now for accounting. Okay, to the customer, you're still buying CapEx because it might go, yes, there's a 3-year subscription license in this. All we've done is change the line item so that before you would say, oh, you've got 5 years support with your array. Yeah. Now you've got 5 years support and subscription.
Sure.
And other vendors have done that long before us. I will not name names. You know who they are. And we could probably name 5 quite prominent ones. It's really just to change internally how things are addressed in the business. Because historically, in the storage industry, we've now come full circle. In the old days of, I'll say EMC, in the old days of EMC, when I was 18, 19 years old, and you wanted a Clarion, okay, the old boxes. You bought the box, you had the software, and then you started paying for additional features, didn't you? So it was all a case of this, then this. You want replication, or that costs you some extra. You want power management, that's a bit extra. And then what happened was a vendor came along and did an all-inclusive license model in the storage industry. And that was a game changer. All of a sudden, you have to bundle everything in.
Sure.
And then it became the bundled in model. And what happened was, didn't matter how much your software cost, compared to your hardware. It didn't matter. It became mashed together all through. And what we've seen now in the last kind of 5 years is it's just split up again. Now, the funny thing about all of this is what the customer has paid for what they've got has never changed. It's just the BOM looks different.
Sure.
And don't get me wrong, we did a misstep on this when we first went into it, because you'll recall, we had the line item that had like a 1,712 next to it, and rightly enough, we were asked, "What's that for?" But we've simplified all that. All it is now is that there's a word subscription in there, but 99 times out of 100, the customer is still buying in a CapEx model. So they're either buying on a CapEx method, the same as they always have, or they're buying on a consumption model in a flex contract with a bunch of services bundled in. And some of the larger resellers, we're not naming names on this, but some of the larger resellers work with us on that to deliver some of those services on behalf of us. So depending on what they want to put forward, what they want to offer, those are the two elements. Now, economies of scale, it's always down to a triangle for me. It is the customer's budget, customer's needs, and the customer's method of acquisition. So procurement has far more power than people realise. The number of times we've had discussions, particularly in public sector, where we go, yep, we want this, it's great, this is how we want to operate, this solves our problems. Right, now we need to go through procurement, because procurement are going to tell us who we can buy from, how we can buy, and whether or not that funding is being released in drips, or whether or not I'm getting a, big bag of cash to do something with for the next 5 years. So that's a mistake a lot of vendors make and a lot of resellers make. They go in and say, this is the next big thing, and it's amazing, and this is how everybody's doing it, because the response 9 times out of 10 is, that's amazing, not how we're doing it.
Yeah.
And that's going back to the whole sales, marketing, technicalist. You've got to
Absolutely.
see what their priorities are and how they want to buy. For example, GreenLake Flex is spectacularly popular in Portugal. Reason for that is culturally there, and this is a second-hand story according to Portuguese sales team in storage, is that a lot of the companies there release budget annually. They don't go, here's your budget for 5 years to go and get storage. They'll go, here's your budget for the storage and your first year of support, and then next year you'll get your money for your second year of support next year, and that fits into the GreenLake model very, very well.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of how it works on the scale of things.